I dozed off this afternoon, and then I had to go to my evening shift at work, so I ran out of time to create the episode at home. And so I brought the camera with me to the gym because I do actually have a fitness YouTube channel, so I was going to bring the camera anyway, but here we are running out of time. The day is almost over, and I want to at least get the footage on camera before Monday is over, even if editing the video and getting it online takes a little bit longer. So here we are. It's a little bit different, and I have no idea who out there in the gym is looking this way, wondering what the heck I'm doing. But just real quick, just for fun, since we had the Oscars yesterday, that is what I will be talking about. So right after the opening credits, I'll be back to discuss the film world's annual televised office party. The Academy Awards were held yesterday, and I just want to get this right out in the open. I ceased caring years ago. My experience with the Oscars is that when I was a teenager, I had heard about them, but I had no idea that they were at all relevant to what I liked as a teenager until one year, I think 1989. At random, I happened to tune in. I heard that they were on, and I thought, well, I'll watch this thing called the Oscars. And back then, we didn't have the internet. I had no idea what to expect. So I was very surprised when my favorite film, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, directed by Terry Gilliam, showed up in one of the nominees. I forget which one was first, but let's say maybe it was costumes. They said the nominees for best costumes are, and they listed them all, and one of them was Henry V, which I think by that point I had seen, and then they listed The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, and I was stunned. Don't quote me on the exact order. It may have been another award, but by the time the evening was over, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen had been nominated for Best Makeup, Best Costume, Best Production Design, I believe, yes, and Best Special Effects. And that was the year that I went, oh, this Academy Award thing isn't just for, adult films, grown-up films, R-rated films that I was not allowed to see yet, or elite films of some kind. It was for films that I might have actually seen. Batman was up for production design as well. In fact, Batman won, and The Adventures of Baron Munchausen did not. Makeup was won by Driving Miss Daisy, special effects was won by The Abyss, and costumes was won by Henry V. I had seen Batman. I liked Batman, so I was pleasantly surprised to see that up for an Academy Award as well. So it was all just, it was kind of a delightful surprise. And over the years, because of my interest in film, I would tune in, and I even would have people over, and we'd have kind of an Oscar party, and we'd fill out ballots, and we'd have a small prize, or maybe it was just bragging rights and applause for whoever got the most correct answers at the end of the night. Over time, as I got older, there was just kind of this growing feeling of, why am I watching? Especially as over time, the Academy, well, they've kind of always done this, but they drifted more and more away from the kinds of films that I was going to see and the kinds of films that I was enjoying. The things I liked would still show up in some of the more technical categories, the less, none of my favorite films have ever been up for Best Picture, really, except maybe The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, but, Raiders of the Lost Ark, but I wasn't even watching back then. I had no idea what the Academy Awards were back in 1984 or 5 or whenever that was. So, it's just, the more they've moved away from that, for example, over the past 5 years, I think I've seen maybe 3 or 4 of all the Best Picture nominees. Sometimes I will have gone and watched them after the fact. I'll see some film got nominated, and I'll go, okay, I'm curious. That's how I saw Ford versus Ferrari, which turned out to be an excellent film. In fact, that would have been my choice for Best Picture the year that came out. I just over time, I don't care. I don't care who's wearing what. I don't care about the whole red carpet dress thing. The speeches got more and more and more political, and I don't care about that either. And my favorite directors almost never get nominated for anything. Although Tim Burton's films tend to have pretty good art direction and colorful designs. I think Sleepy Hollow, did Sleepy Hollow win for Best Production Design? Rick Heinrichs. As much as I said at the beginning, this is an episode about the Oscar ceremony. My overall opinion of the Oscars is, who really cares? You know what it is? It is an office party, as I also said at the beginning. It is a great big office party. And very few companies out there actually televise their office parties. But it is a bunch of people who work in the industry all gathering together, patting each other on the back. And I don't say that to be condescending about it or say the whole thing's a stupid idea. I just say, what is it about the Oscars that gets us so excited to watch it? I have people who are just, absolutely devoted to seeing it year after year after year, and I don't get it anymore. One thing that let me down was when I discovered just how much campaigning goes on. It's not a matter of the few thousand, or maybe it's several thousand members of the Academy, each individually filling out a ballot and just kind of saying, I really liked this film, I really felt that film. To discover that nowadays, and I think it was popularized by the now infamous Harvey Weinstein, the idea of pushing your film in front of people, going into the Hollywood industry and mailing out copies of the films and saying, please vote for us. It's becoming more and more, and maybe it always was, but I've become more aware of just how much it's like those popularity contests in high school. Back when they didn't really know how to sit back and evaluate certain qualities of anything, whether it was a talent show or just a popularity contest or whatever. I've been part of some contests online, and the winner is almost never the actual best costume or the best singer or whatever. It's the person who got the most friends to get online and click the buttons. Vote for me, vote for me, vote for me. I see that in the fitness world. There's some people who, they get on some men's fitness magazine best body competition, and they narrow it down to 10 nominees, and then those nominees all go and just hit up their friends saying, please vote for me. And so what you get is that the winner is the one who could just get the most friends to participate, instead of winning, shall we say, honestly, based on everybody seriously and honestly evaluating what it is they saw, whatever the subject is. So in the case of the Oscars, it's become which producer can make the most noise and get the most people, whip up the biggest crowd in favor of his film, instead of each member of the Academy sitting down calmly, rationally evaluating which films do I think put all the elements together the best, or which actor really gave the best performance, which, they don't. It's a big popularity contest. So that really, unfortunately, tarnished it as far as I was concerned. But then very recently, I think within the past 6 or 7 years, they've just become more focused on issues and agendas than ever before. And I think it stands out the most when you look at the winner, Nomadland. Within the past 5 years, that won Best Picture. Out of curiosity, I had the opportunity to watch it. at my brother's house because he had the right streaming service for it. What an incredibly boring movie with almost nothing to say. Now, I don't believe Best Picture should be limited to those films that have an important message. As far as I'm concerned, Galaxy Quest from 1999 was one of the most perfect films to come out that year and should have been nominated. Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, one of the most perfect adventure swashbuckling films I've ever seen, and one of the most perfect to come out that year. Men in Black, a pretty much perfect film. And these are the kinds of films that the Academy will never nominate for Best Picture because they aren't serious films. And Nomadland was purported to be a serious film. And of course, it starred Frances McDormand, who is very much an agenda-driven actress these days. When she gets in front of a microphone, she's all about pushing. I don't want to put precise words in her mouth, but she's out there with equal pay agenda and equality, this and that. And then, of course, it was directed by a woman. I believe it was directed even by an Asian woman. And this was following closely enough on the heels of the Me Too movement and let's get more women involved that it didn't matter that the film was pretty much crap. It ticked all the right boxes and therefore won Best Picture. It is objectively not the best movie of the year that it came out. For one, some of the acting is really bad because the director got actual van dwellers to play some of the van dwellers. It's a story about people who live in their vans, and Frances McDormand is the lead character, and she, because she's lost a job or they're downsizing or something, she has to start living in her van. And it's awful. Frances McDormand's a good actress, and David Strathairn, I think is how you say his name. You could tell they were good, which actually made it stand out even more when they cut to some guy talking to Frances McDormand, and he's a real life van dweller and has never been in a movie before, and you can tell the difference. And that right there, as far as I'm concerned, knocked it out of Best Picture running, because Best Picture should be for the film where all of the elements come together perfectly, or at least better than every other film. That's who should win Best Picture. So when half your cast, supporting cast to be sure, but when half your cast cannot hold a candle to Frances McDormand and David Strathairn, and you can tell which people are from Hollywood and which people live in vans just by the way they're acting on screen, that disqualifies it instantly. Anyway, this most recent one, I actually did see The Substance. That was up for Best Picture, and Demi Moore was up for Best Actress. Best Makeup, I think it won. If it did, it deserved it. There was an outstanding makeup job at the end. I don't want to spoil anything, but there is a makeup job to make horror film directors jealous. But yeah, just an interesting film. It didn't win Best Picture, and I don't know that I would have put it up there. But it was a long list of films that I hadn't seen or didn't care about. And the winner, Anora, is one that I haven't seen. I did see the trailer, and the trailer had me going, I don't want to see that. Maybe I'll check it out just to check it out, but I'm not interested. Those are just some rambling thoughts and opinions on the whole thing. But to wrap up here, as I got to get back to my workout, and we're almost to the time limit for these entries. I don't want to make a film to win an Oscar. I just want to make films to the best of my ability. I want every film I make to be my best at the time. If it's my first film, obviously the skill level will be lower, the experience will be lower, but you hear about Oscar bait movies and people making movies really just kind of to win that elusive Oscar, and that will never be a part of my thinking. I want to make movies because I want to make movies, and I want to make them good because I want them to be good. And if I never win an Oscar, I won't care. I don't like movie. You know, if a movie wins an Oscar, I don't suddenly go, "Oh, that movie I couldn't stand, it won Best Picture. I guess it's actually good." Or, you know, if a movie doesn't win and I like it, I don't suddenly change my opinion. It didn't win an Oscar. It must not be as good as I thought it was. I guess I'll throw out my copy of the DVD. Anyway, I gotta go. You gotta go. I have no news on my own film anyway. None of it matters. See you next week.